Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, let's dive right into an incredibly exciting thought experiment today. We are exploring a truly extraordinary concept based on a piece that stages this imaginary conversation between some of history's absolute greatest minds. We're talking Steve Jobs, Seneca, Carl Jung, the whole shebang. And the goal here, it's to solve the ultimate human problem, managing our fleeting time. We all get the exact same 24 hours in a day. But why is it that some people seem to literally live 3 lives inside a single day, while others feel like their time just completely vanishes? Let's find out.
We have all had this exact moment, right? You're sitting there, you look up at the clock, and you think, wait, no way, how is it already this late? It is that universally shocking feeling of realizing an entire day has just vanished into this hazy blur of distractions, unfinished thoughts, and a million little notifications. Which brings us to the central mystery of this whole thing. Why does time disappear so easily? Posing this question pulls us directly into a profound realization from our source material, and that is, time is not experienced equally. Think about it. A joyful hour feels completely different from a painful one. So what is actually stealing our time from us?
Act 1. The practical illusion of attention and subtraction.
We usually think we're out here fighting the clock. But actually, scratch that, the real battle is against a lack of directed attention and just unconscious living. As the Roman philosopher Seneca pointed out thousands of years ago, people do not lose time all at once. They surrender it in small pieces. It's almost never the big, massive emergencies that derail us. It's the tiny, little fragments. The author combines this wisdom with modern insights from James Clear, who notes that our time disappears through tiny defaults. Like keeping that one browser tab open just in case. Add to that Cal Newport's observation that our modern environments are literally engineered to intentionally fracture our attention, and suddenly that vanished day starts making a whole lot of sense.
There is a massive difference between mechanical productivity and conscious awareness. Like, you might sit at your desk for 3 hours just mechanically clicking away, but you might only experience about 20 minutes of actual conscious concentration. The psychologist Carl Jung offers a really fascinating warning here. He says we often lose hours to the unconscious. When we're endlessly scrolling on our phones, we kind of just blame a lack of discipline. But Jung suggests we are actually escaping things: anxiety, loneliness, fear. The time just disappears into the unconscious before it even hits the clock.
So if just piling on more productivity hacks isn't the answer, we have to pivot. What do time masters remove from their lives? The practical solution to lost time isn't about doing more. It's about ruthless subtraction.
Take this brilliant insight from Steve Jobs. If you keep 10 options alive, your mind pays rent on all 10. I love that. Both Jobs and legendary investor Warren Buffett emphasize that indecision is a massive time thief. Treating every single opportunity or random invitation as if it's super vital, that actually drains our cognitive resources and totally dilutes our focus. Real focus means being willing to close doors.
So, the crucial point here is what we actually need to cut. First up, unexamined activity. Management expert Peter Drucker advises us to cut tasks that just simply shouldn't exist in the first place. Next, the automatic yes. Tim Ferriss warns that we often say yes just out of social fear, handing over our precious energy. Third, noise and clutter. Marie Kondo points out that fear often hides right there in our clutter, both the physical stuff and the mental noise. Letting go creates the space we need for intentional focus. And finally, we absolutely must remove reactive work from our best, most energetic hours of the day.
Moving on to Act 2, the creative paradox, pressure and flow.
Now, this next layer completely challenges the conventional wisdom that doing great work always requires having these vast amounts of free time. Can a short deadline actually make the mind more creative? Sounds super stressful, right? But the source material introduces this wild concept that pressure, the right kind of pressure, can actually awaken hidden parts of the human mind. When we compare unlimited time versus forced constraints, a really clear pattern starts to emerge. Seth Godin and Naval Ravikant argue that unlimited time often breeds this safe, hesitant thinking, basically masking procrastination as refinement. On the flip side, figures like Elon Musk and Thomas Edison believe that scarcity and constraints actually force first principles thinking. When you don't have endless time, you stop endlessly debating and you start experimenting fast.
However, we do need to ground this intense pressure argument just a bit. The imaginary panel brings in Leonardo da Vinci to offer a really crucial warning. He says, one must distinguish between mechanical productivity and artistic depth. Extreme fear and pressure can actually narrow the mind a bit too much. Da Vinci reminds us that true artistic speed and those fast flashes of insight are actually the results of years of deep accumulated observation.
And that brings us to a really fascinating state of being. The psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi defines flow as a state where attention is completely absorbed by the task, self-consciousness fades away, and action and awareness become one. This is exactly why our perception of time totally alters when we're in deep focus. It sets up perfectly how both peak athletes and spiritual guides manage to harness the immense power of the present moment.
And we see this harnessed across so many different disciplines. Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary samurai, taught that removing hesitation literally slows down the feel of time. Kobe Bryant talked about staying incredibly calm inside immense pressure, just reading the moment without any judgment. And spiritual teachers like Eckhart Tolle and Thich Nhat Hanh, they teach that returning to the breath and simply stopping our habit of abandoning the present moment, well, that can make one single focused hour infinitely richer than an entirely distracted day.
Act 3. The existential filter. Mortality and meaning.
Let's slow down for a second and just strip away the idea of productivity entirely. When we view time strictly through the lens of life's end, the difference between wasted work time and wasted emotional time becomes glaringly obvious. We get so obsessed over answering emails and running endless errands. But the insights of grief expert Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and the author Leo Tolstoy reveal something so profound. On their deathbeds, people do not care about their inbox. They regret postponed love, they regret the apologies they never gave, and all those years spent serving false measurements like status and societal expectations.
This profound insight from Steve Jobs cuts right to the core of it. Death is the best filter. When you remember that time is limited, a lot of noise falls away. Remembering our mortality strips away all that pride, the fear of failure, the embarrassment. It forces this hard, immediate question upon us. Are we living our own script or someone else's?
And look at how Mother Teresa framed it. The greatest poverty is not lack of money, it is lack of love. She believed that ordinary, simple acts of absolute presence are never, ever wasted time. The psychiatrist Viktor Frankl really echoed this, observing that time only becomes truly meaningful when a person answers life's call with courage and love, even in the absolute darkest of circumstances.
And finally, the resolution: consciousness over clocks. This brings us to our ultimate paradigm shift. True time management isn't about optimizing the clock, it's about increasing the depth of our awareness inside every single fleeting moment. Viktor Frankl provides a striking call to action for this. He says, "Do not ask life what it owes you, ask what life is asking of you." We absolutely have to stop passively waiting for real life to begin later, after this big project is done, after the weekend, after we finally get promoted. Life is happening right now, in the exact mundane moments we are so often trying to escape by just scrolling on our phones.
So we are left with this final, truly provocative question. Who or what is receiving my life? It's not just about what is taking up your time, but what is actively absorbing your life force. I really want you to evaluate where your attention and your energy are going right at this very second. Take a deep breath, close those extra tabs, and go truly live this next hour.